Hello and welcome to the Growing Green Landscapes Podcast with Jeremiah Jennings. While still in his early 20s, Jeremiah already runs a successful six-figure lawn maintenance company. Listen in as he and his guests share the things that have brought them success that can help you in your business. As a young entrepreneur in the green industry, Jeremiah emphasizes the tips and tricks involved in running a lawn maintenance business while discussing the principles applying to all small businesses. If you're wanting to grow, become profitable and professional, you're in the right place. And now, here's your host, Jeremiah Jennings.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another show today here on the Growing Green Podcast. This is your host, Jeremiah Jennings, and I am super excited to be coming to you today with a brand new guest interview. The Hype House interviews are now over, and we are moving on back to our regularly scheduled programming. And we have a good guest on today. This is actually one that I don't think I got you on at the Hype House, but it's none other than Paul Jamison. How you doing today, man?
Good, Jeremiah. Thanks for having me on the program. You sound like a pro, man. Back to your regularly scheduled program.
I try. Every now and then I get a sentence good. See, this is not good programming. This is not excellence in broadcasting, but every once in a while I'll get a sentence right. So, man, well, I wanted to come on because, like I said, we didn't get you on at the Hype House in Florida. Just a bit crazy busy schedule, a lot of different people, and I was like, well, I know our schedules line up. We can get you when we go back home. So, I kind of want to talk through what your business is doing nowadays. And I know everyone that listens to my show knows your story, knows how you got started in the green industry and you started your lawn company and that whole thing. And you kind of get the rap of the Green Industry Podcast. It's literally the name of your company, the name of your podcast. So you do talk about lawn and landscape a lot, all the stuff that goes along with that. But today I kind of want to hear a different side of your story, and I kind of want you to walk us through the story of growing the podcast and the social media side of creating a living, because that's what you're doing. You're not in the quote-unquote green industry every day anymore. You are helping others by promoting extremely good products and talking about your errors and mistakes and your lessons that you've learned and the things you did right over the years by creating these books, and just you're creating a really cool future for yourself that is very interesting and intriguing to me. So I want to walk through the show today and just kind of let you tell your story and how you've gotten to what you're doing today. I mean, the journey of getting the podcast started and now where you're taking it.
Yeah, absolutely. So in August of 2018, I had the candle at both ends was burning. I mean, I was absolutely stressed out in life, Jeremiah. My lawn care business was blowing up, as the young kids say, right?
Yeah.
I had the defensive coordinator of the Atlanta Falcons. He was basically championing me to the other coaches on the Falcons staff and to the players. And this was back in 2015 and 16. Actually went to the Super Bowl in 2016. I got to, I'm hanging out in the locker room with Julio Jones' parents, literally at the end of the game. Mm-hmm. It was just wild. And so my business was growing rapidly, and I was working specifically in one high-end Atlanta neighborhood. Well, simultaneously to that, I was working on the weekends at a radio station. Mr. Producer was actually my boss. He was the assistant general manager. And so, I had become friends with Mr. Producer. He's essentially, one of my bosses.
Yeah.
And I would work typically from 6 p.m. to midnight on Saturdays at the radio station. It was an hour commute from where I was living. And you got a mute button over there, Jennings?
Did I not mute it? Did it not get muted?
You're all cough. It's all right. It's all right. I can hear you. Yeah. Maybe they can't.
My mute button's not working. I don't know then. Maybe it's coming through the laptop. That's what it is.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
The laptop audio is picking me up.
I don't know. Okay. So
sorry if you had to hear that.
Short, well, I heard. Yeah, it's all right. Long story short, on the weekends, so I'd work my butt off all week. Okay. Yeah. I didn't have any Sabbath day. I worked 7 days a week, which is obviously foolish. You should work 6, rest 1.
Yeah.
According to, the Jewish traditions or whatnot. So I was working all week in lawn care. Then Saturdays, I'd probably work in the morning if I could. And then I'd go and I'd work at the radio station. I'd drive an hour to get there. I'd go and work at 6 p.m. I did my show from 6 to 9, and then I produced a hip hop show from 9 to midnight. I drive home. I get home about 1:15, in the morning. I'm all wound up. I get to bed at like 2, wake up on Sundays, drive back to the radio station. I did a like a Sunday morning show, like Sunday service on the radio in Atlanta. And then I was there all day till 6 p.m. And then I'd wake up on Monday morning and I'd go do it again, about 3 days of mow edge trim blowing. And then I did a lot of landscape installs. And I mean, big job, in my world, big jobs, 10,000, 17,000, 15,000.
Big jobs,
my wheelhouse. So it was 2-3 days at least. And then it would stretch over weeks. And I'm painting the picture because my life was out of control. Like if you look at work-life balance, it was very unwise. And some folks were like, man, you're 36 and you're not married. What's the deal? And part of it was I didn't have time to go on a date if I wanted to.
Yeah.
And I had an NFL cheerleader wanted me to take her out on a date.
Oh my goodness, Paul.
And I literally was just like blowing her off, and it made her want me more because I was like, you know what I mean. It is a weird psychology. Yeah, it was a weird psychology, but I just didn't have time for anything in my life. So my friend Brian Ring up in Minnesota, he said, "Hey, I got a lawnmower I want to gift you. It's a 48-inch, brand new engine, nice mower." And he's like, I'm going to give you a trailer too, so you can haul it back to Atlanta. Because my biggest mower at the time was a 30-inch Exmark.
Yeah.
And the lawns aren't, I watched some of you on Instagram. The lawns I did, the grass part wasn't that big, but I had a couple yards I picked up that actually did have big yards. And here I am out with a 30-inch mower. It just wasn't efficient. So one of my mentors was like, hey, I'll just give you one of our old mowers. We have like 8 or 9 mowers. You have mowers just sitting around. So come pick it up. So I fly to Minnesota. I rent a U-Haul to bring it back. And I'm driving. I drive through in the morning, Minnesota. I go down through Wisconsin. I'm through the Chicago part of Illinois. And now I'm in just the middle of Illinois. It's like farmland on both sides of the highway. If you're in the middle of Illinois, it's just nothing. I'm driving this big old U-Haul. And this is the only time that I can remember this happened in my life. But I had a vision. So just imagine at night when you're sleeping, you have a dream and you're like, you think you're in the dream. You don't realize it's a dream. I don't know if you can relate to that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. You think if you're having a dream and you're playing basketball, sometimes I'm like on the Cleveland Cavaliers in my dream and I'm draining threes. And I'm passing it. I mean, literally, I had so many dreams that I was playing basketball on the Cavs. And then I actually got to go play on the Cavs. Yeah. And I actually got to go play on the Cavs court. And I was draining threes on Quicken Loans Arena. It's pretty crazy in real life. But anyway, it was like a dream. I'm driving down the road and a movie starts playing, but I somehow didn't crash.
That's what I was going to say. How did you keep going? How did you stay on the road?
I think God's outside of time. So I think it happened. Like I can't explain it, but God made time. So I think it happened in like a millisecond,
and
but
it felt longer.
like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It felt like I'm watching a movie and I saw guys. I knew it was predominantly men. And they were in pickup trucks and they were listening to me talk. And then they were in like a shop, where you got all your equipment and stuff, but I was on like, like a
broadcast.
Speaker, like one of they got these speakers now you can listen, Bluetooth speakers and stuff.
Yep.
They were listening to me. And it was all these different people in Arkansas. And I could just tell they were in different states and they were tuning in. They were listening to me. And then the movie ends. And now I like deer in headlights, like, whoa, like in the movies. And I'm driving. And then I heard the Lord speak to me, if you build it, they will listen. And I was like, I know the movie Field of Dreams is in Iowa, but it's like cornfields. Well, I was in Illinois, but it was cornfields all around me.
Yeah.
And so I knew the context. If you build it, he will come in the baseball game.
Yeah.
You build a baseball stadium. And then these legends started coming. It was pretty crazy. I knew that I was supposed to start a podcast to talk about my lawn care business journey. So I'm driving and I'm kind of praying and I'm like, well, I don't have any time to, tie my shoe. Like my schedule is out of control. I knew I needed to get down to at least having one day off because I was about to lose I was so overwhelmed. I knew I needed to clutter my schedule, not add something to it. So it just made no sense to me to start a podcast, but I knew I heard from God to do it. And so Naylor actually came down to Atlanta to interview me for his YouTube channel, get to know the Pro Series. And we went to Waffle House, and I kind of was sitting there. And I wasn't a social media influencer. I had 500 or 600 Instagram followers at the time. I just post a few pictures here and there of my stripes and stuff like that. And I said, Naylor, I think I need to start a podcast. And he's like, what do you think? And he's like, you'd be perfect. You work at a radio station. You know how to broadcast? He's like, start the podcast. And I was like, well, when would I do it? I don't have any time or whatever. So I talked to Mr. Producer about it. And I said, hey, can you like get me in at the radio station? Can you get me like they have all kind of studio. They have Studio A, Studio B, Studio C with these fancy microphones and all this stuff. I was like, can you get me permission on the weekends when no one's here? Can I like sneak into one of the studios and start a podcast? And he's like, let me see what I can do for you. And it seemed, you'd have to understand, it seemed impossible to get that approved. Mm-hmm. But he came back and basically is like, hey, just until you can afford to get your own equipment and get everything set up, just while no one's here, and, just get in and get out and do what you got to do. So I started actually making my first episodes. Naylor was actually in Atlanta. So we went in the studio and he was all overwhelmed. He's like, oh, this is so sweet. And we banged out 3 episodes. And then I asked Brian Fullerton, I was like, hey man, can you do me a big favor? Can I interview you on my podcast? Like, yeah, man. And so I interviewed him, and then I called Caleb. I was like, Caleb, can you do me a favor? Cause I was friends with these guys. I was like, can I interview you? He's like, yeah, man. And so I interviewed just a few of my friends, Caleb Allman, Brian. This was way before they ever had their podcast. They were just my buddies. And the thing started taking off, and now I'm growing a podcast. I'm still running my lawn care business. I'm still doing the radio station. And it was just nuts in 2018, 2019. My schedule was absolutely crazy. And then 2020 hits, and it goes from a hobby, and I have Echo. I'm on a Zoom call with Echo, and they're like, hey, we'd like to work with you. And here's kind of what we're thinking. What are you thinking? And they're like, we'll pay for you. Basically, I'm summarizing my first tour. Yeah. We'll pay for you to travel the country and go interview people. And we I kind of presented what they're like, what's your plans for the year? And I was like, well, I'd like to go interview people in person, and no, we'd love to help you out. We'd love to sponsor you. And what do you need to make that happen? I'm like calculating, staying in hotels for 3 weeks and gas. And, I was like, wow, I need a lot of money to do this. And I presented to them, and, they just emailed me back like it's nothing. I was like, yeah, we're in, and I was like, what in the world? And so I went on my first tour, and I absolutely had a time of my life. It was incredible. And so then I just rinse and repeat that. I did another tour then in the fall. Naylor went with me, and Toro sponsored it. I'm trying to think. Jobber sponsored it. Brian Fullerton, Launchpreneur Academy sponsored it. And Corey Ballard, I think, Ballard Products sponsored it. And so now I'm getting sponsors, and this thing's blowing up. And it went from a hobby, like just something I was doing, to actual business and a way to serve 50,000. I don't know the exact number. We had over 109 podcast audio downloads last month, which is, as far as I'm aware, the most in our space. Because you other guys, Caleb and Brian, we're screenshotting each other, our numbers and stuff like that. But I didn't start off to grow the biggest podcast in the industry. It honestly just kind of evolved. Yeah. And so that's kind of where we are now. I have coming up on 700 episodes here this spring, and we crank out a daily episode, and it's really helping a lot of people. So it's awesome, man. I really enjoy doing it.
That's an awesome story. Just to hear how you definitely got your life, your work life in order, and your personal life, because you had to get your personal life in order to get your work life in order. So I'm sure some of that was in there that you didn't even talk about.
Well, I'll interject real quick. In April, it was April 5th of 2020. I resigned at the radio station. It was one of the most difficult things I had to do, because I loved broadcasting. I really enjoyed my job, but it got to a tipping point where physically, emotionally, I remember one time I didn't really pass out, but I just laid down on my customer's driveway. I was so tired. And he comes out because I didn't even know he was home. He comes out. He's like, Paul, he thought I died. He's like, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm just laying there in his driveway in the middle of the day. It was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm just like lightheaded. And I was like, yeah, I'm all right. I was like, I'm just not feeling well. And he's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? I was like, I'm just tired. And I like basically need to take a nap, and I couldn't even walk to my truck. I just laid in his driveway. And so I realized it's impossible to do the radio station, lawn care business, and the podcast. And physically, my body I would have probably died. I'm going to be over dramatic, but I was in really bad shape with my health. You can ask Mr. Producer. He'd tell you, I was looking rough. And cause I was doing too much. So I resigned from the radio job, which, most broadcasters, if they had a midday radio station in one of the biggest markets in Atlanta, it's like, who in the world would walk away from that? It made no sense, but I just felt like it was what I needed to do. And I put in a 2 weeks notice. I wrote a really nice letter to the boss, and I quit.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. It's big life decisions along the way that were, I'm sure, tough. Like you said, the hardest decision ever in the moment stuff, but they pay off in the end. And it's just a lot of prayer, a lot of thought goes into those decisions, and they're important ones that I think everybody's got to realize are going to have to be made at some point in your business. In your business journey, tough decisions are going to have to be made, and you're going to have to know how to deal with them and how to. You need a group around you. Do you have any type of mentors, anybody that you discussed this with, or was this kind of a personal decision you did between just you and God?
No, I absolutely. I have a prayer intercessor lady. She actually was one of my lawn care customers. She moved out of Atlanta a few years ago. Her husband passed away. She's a widow now, but she's a prayer intercessor warrior. She covers my life in prayer. And so I started presenting to her. I said, hey, will you pray for wisdom for me? Because something's got to go. And I don't know I love doing the podcast. It's blowing up. It's reaching, tens of thousands. I mean, I'm influencing thousands of people. Yeah. And the radio station, I'm influencing thousands of people. I enjoy doing that. The lawn care business. I mean, I had a guy ask me one time, he's like, how do I do Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes yards? Cause I was doing the head coach of the Falcons and the captain of the Falcons yard. Yeah. And it's like, I was like, dude, you got to be at the right place at the right time. Like, I could kind of give you some hints of how you could kind of put yourself, but it's still going to be a supernatural. You just don't land jobs like that. And so it's like, I loved all of it, but I physically couldn't do all of that. And let alone it was impossible for me to bring a woman into my life when I'm working. Yeah. Without 90 hours a week. And, Jeff Bezos focuses on Amazon, and, Dave Ramsey focuses on Ramsey Solutions. Is like, I knew I needed to start getting a singular focus on what I wanted to do instead of being stretched thin running 3 businesses. And there's some entrepreneurs, they just wear it like a badge. Oh, I got multiple businesses. I got this business. I got that business. I got this business. And for me, it wasn't glamorous. It was, I'd rather have a simpler life. So
absolutely. I totally get it. Well, that's a really cool backstory. It's very interesting. A lot of people have probably heard that story, but it's always a good refresher. It's always a good refresher to hear where you came from, how you've gotten to the point where you are today. And I enjoy hearing it every single time. And there's always something new you can take from it. It's like reading the Bible. Every time you read a verse in the Bible, you can always take something new from it. And no matter how many times you read it, it hadn't changed for thousands of years, but you can take something new out of every time you read it. So love hearing that story. Well, coming up, I want to hear your discussion and your thoughts and your points of emphasis in your journey and being young in business, because that's what we talk about here on the podcast. Is you're not young, you're not necessarily 20 years old, but at the same time, you're only really in years 3, 4 in your podcasting business, the social media business that you've built. So that's what I really want to talk about today. I want to hear about some points that you've taken and helped propel your journey along the way. So we're going to come on right back with Paul Jamison here in a minute after a word from our show sponsors. Today's episode is brought in part to you by Woodland Direct. Did you know fire is the #1 requested outdoor design feature for homeowners? Woodland Direct can help you create the cozy backyard your client desires with its range of high-quality fire features, including fire pits, fireplaces, outdoor kitchens, patio heaters, and more. Woodland also has the largest team of NFI-certified experts in the industry, ready to guide you through every step of your fire projects. Help your clients create the backyard of their dreams by visiting www.woodlanddirect.com or call 800-919-1904 to talk to an NFI certified expert today. Again, that's www.woodlanddirect.com, or you can call 800-919-1904 to talk to an expert today that can help you. Hey there, fellow lawn and landscape business owner. Do you work hard all year for your freedom but still feel as if your money controls you? Unfortunately, because you can't give bookkeeping your full energy or focus, it just sits there most nights untouched, continually haunting you. Because your business demands your time elsewhere, you need a personalized bookkeeping solution dedicated to your industry. Gulf Coast Bookkeeping, now known as the Landscaping Bookkeeper, is dedicated to giving your time and peace of mind back through our monthly bookkeeping service. You can begin this partnership with us today by going to www.gulfcoastbk.com and scheduling a 15-minute call. We want you to become a confident and informed business owner. We'll take care of your green so you can take care of theirs. Schedule a 15-minute call today at www.gulfcoastbk.com. All right, guys, thanks for tuning into the show today, and thank you to those show sponsors for always connecting with us and helping the podcast continue to come out and come out to you on a regular basis, because without them, the show would not happen. It is not cheap to do a podcast by any means, and they help us keep the show afloat and help us keep it coming out on a regular schedule. So we are back with Paul Jamison of the Green Industry Podcast, and we are going to discuss here in the second half of the interview the business side of growing the podcast and growing the social media company that you have built today. And I'm really interested to hear some points and things that have helped you along the way. So I know you've got some points written down. I want you to kind of take it away. What are some things that you think were beneficial to you when you started your company? You have to still figure out your rates when you started getting ads on the podcast. That's something that a lot of people are trying to do nowadays. Is they want to build YouTube channels. They want to build their podcasts are popping up left and right. And in our industry, out of our industry, no matter what, in the journey of entrepreneurship, you got to figure out your rate. You got to figure out your worth. And how have you kind of navigated those waters along the way? With really, like you said, you were the first one in the industry to do it. So you were kind of out there. You were the lone wolf.
Yeah. So it starts with, if you're going to have a business, you have to have customers. So to like your business, right, you need to have your customer. And then once you have your customer, you can offer them, lawn mowing, and you can upsell mulch and pine straw and decorative rock and pruning their trees. And you have all these services. But at the end of the day, you have to have a customer. And so with TikTok and YouTube, they'll actually pay you. YouTube, it's called Google AdSense. If you have 1,000 YouTube subscribers and you have 4,000 hours of watch time, and I think there's a couple other minor requirements, but if you reach those thresholds, you'll get that YouTube money. Mm-hmm. And when you play your YouTube video and the commercial comes on, I'm not too into YouTube, but I think you get 50% and YouTube gets 50%. So anyway, it's called Google AdSense. There ain't nothing like that for podcasting. TikTok has that as well. It's called the Creator Fund. You have to have 100,000 TikTok views in the last 30 days, I believe it is. Mm-hmm. And then there's a few other minor requirements. Well, if you if you check all the boxes, then you can get in the TikTok Creator Fund and actually, you make your little TikTok and you make a little TikTok.
Well, we need to start as a podcast creator fund. So
there's nothing like that. So Brian Fullerton jokes around, Paul's got the podcast millions. That's sarcasm. Okay. There's no, even though I have the the download numbers or whatever, there's no, you don't get paid anything for that. So let's bust the myth of whatever.
You could have 3 million downloads like Joe Rogan, but if he has no show sponsors, he'd make no money.
Not a penny. Yeah. You would not make a penny from podcasting. Now
correct.
Probably makes money because he videotapes his podcast and plays a clip on YouTube. So he's making YouTube money from his podcast content, but he's not actually making podcast money. And I don't respond. I just kill people with silence. I don't respond to any of the haters or any of the critics or any of the people that are saying this, that, and the other. I literally just don't respond. I have too much going on in my life to correct people or to respond. So I don't say anything.
Yeah.
And I remember Eminem they did this diss track on Eminem one time, and they asked him, like, you going to do a diss track back? And he's like, nah, I'm not even going to give him the time of day. You know what I mean? Right. He's like, I'm already the biggest rapper in the world. Like, why would I waste anyway? So there's all these people out there that think, oh, you got a big podcast, you make a bunch of money. And it doesn't work like that. Business, you have to have a customer.
Mm-hmm.
And so in any type of social media, you accumulate a social media following, unless you're in the TikTok Creator Fund or the YouTube AdSense, there's 3 predominant ways to make money. And they are sponsorship, affiliate marketing,
Mm-hmm.
and selling your own products. And so those are the 3 ways, whether you build a big Instagram following or Facebook following or podcast or whatever, those are the 3 most common traditional ways to earn income. And so I started to really look at the hobby I was doing and realizing by the time I pay Mr. Producer, by the time I pay Libsyn, which is my podcast hosting, and that was hundreds of dollars a month just to host the podcast so you can listen to for free. I got to pay hundreds of dollars because my files, I did so many episodes.
So large,
you basically put it on what's called an RSS feed, and audio files are huge. And when you have 25 of them a month, I'm paying hundreds of dollars just so people can listen for free. So when you add all that up and then you start adding up your podcast board, I think $600, these headsets are $200. I have to buy a new computer because my other one was all clunky. And, that thing was like $1,700. All of a sudden I'm spending money on my hobby, thousands and thousands of dollars. So it's like, I started looking at my numbers. Well, how much does this thing really cost to run just to break even? And so I was like, well, I'm at least going to, bring in enough money to break even, but in business, you want to be profitable. So I'm going to take it as profitable as possible. So that's the 3 main ways. And we could go really in depth with all of these and the right way to go about it and the wrong way to go about it. But sponsors is obviously kind of the biggest one. Affiliates is a great opportunity. And then selling your own products. So we can go in depth of all 3 of those. Back in the day, like, it was athletes that got the big sponsorships, right?
Mm-hmm.
Michael Jordan, what was his towel when he was on the Bulls? What company was on his towel when he'd wipe his face?
Was it Gatorade?
Yeah, exactly. It was Gatorade, right? Tiger Woods in 1997 when he's winning the Masters, I think he shot -18, and the next guy, like Jose Maria Thabo or whatever, was like -5. He won by like 13 shots, right? He had his red shirt on. What was by his
blasted?
Nike hat, Nike thing, right? So that's sponsorship. And in the 80s, the 90s, right? It was Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods and folks like that. I remember Charles Barkley, your Auburn boy, had a deodorant commercial when I was a little kid. I don't know if you ever watched that one. Yeah, it was,
I have to go look it up.
It wasn't Old Spice. It was the other one. Right Guard Clear Stick. Anything else?
Oh my goodness, Right Guard.
Right? So yeah, old Charles was getting the Right Guard money. So these companies, that's a sponsorship. They pay Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
To wear the Nike golf shirt.
Just
they pay Michael Jordan or the NBA. I don't know how that towel works, but I just remember he's always wiping his face with a Gatorade towel. And then his little kid's like, oh, I want to drink Gatorade. I'll play basketball like Michael Jordan if I drink Gatorade.
No.
Well, now with podcasts and YouTube and things of that nature, folks like Joe Rogan can sit there and talk, and he got $100 million deal with Spotify. Like the podcast, you know what I mean? And so the attention, and athletes are still in movies and stuff like that. They're still getting some of the attention of marketers, but it's the Instagrammers and the YouTubers and the TikTokers and the podcasters. So the social media folk that are now putting themselves in position to earn some of the sponsorship money. Mm-hmm. So what I did is I have a vision board. You guys that listen to my podcast know I'm big into setting goals and having a vision board. And I put on there, what are my companies I want to work with? And I'll share a few of them with you. I don't have to tell you the whole list, but Toro, they're on my list. Kohler Engines is on my list. Jobber's on my list. Echo's on my list. And I literally have on my vision board, I want to work with these companies. And so I have big goals that I'd like to align my brand, the Green Industry Podcast, with the biggest and best brands that I personally love and want to use and kind of have that perfect marriage. And so I say no to probably over 90% of the sponsorship, opportunities that I get. It's just like, HBO Max wants, or whoever wants to run ads on my show. But do I really think you should watch a movie? I mean, I'm not against movies or whatever, but it's like my message is like, you got 168 days in the, 168 hours in a week. And you can even be productive. You know what I mean? So what bothers me, Jeremiah, is so many folks, they don't have any integrity. And so they'll just, if anyone will offer them $1, they'll spoil the market because they'll just take it and they're just promoting this, that, and the other. And it's just, it really, as we call it, like a chuck in the truck that, will mow your yard for $15. That spoils the lawn care market. There's folks out there that don't know how to act if somebody offers to pay them to get featured or whatever. So anyway, I try to be a leader in this industry of doing things with integrity, with just the utmost standard. I'm trying to raise the bar of how things should work with sponsorships, affiliates, and the own products that I create. I try to make them as I got my brand new book here, and I put a lot of excellence into this. And Mr. Producer actually read the audiobook. So it's just like, if I'm going to do these things with sponsorships, affiliates, creating my own products, I want to do them the right way. And unfortunately, most folks, especially in the lawn landscape industry, I'm not going to sit here, name names and do all that, but a lot of folks don't know how to act, and it spoils stuff for me who's trying to serve customers and really help people. So anyway, we can go whatever direction you want.
No,
but those are the three main things. If you're listening and you're like, man, I got 20,000 Instagram followers, and how do you make money? It's sponsorships, it's affiliate marketing, and it's selling your own products. And whichever one of those you decide to do, or if you decide to dabble in all three of them, just make sure you do things the right way and not the wrong way.
Yeah, well, I mean,
by serving customers. Go ahead.
No, you said we could go deeper into those. You had more notes on that or something. Let's talk about which one? Let's talk about one. What do you think the most beneficial is to go down that route?
Well, the easiest way to get started, if you want to do things right, in my opinion, is your own products. Because I heard this from Tim Ferriss. He's a entrepreneurship podcast guy. I don't really listen to him, honestly, but I think it was Naylor shared a podcast with me years ago. He's like, just kind of like, hey, check this episode out. Because what's his name? Tim Ferriss.
Yeah,
he had a bag, and he pulls out of his bag all like the headphones he uses and the microphone. I was just getting started, and I think Naylor had seen that video. Like, you should check this out. So I was watching it, and then he started talking about sponsorships. And I'm like, I'm all ears because I was just starting out. And he's like, don't worry about getting nickel and dime sponsorships when you're starting off. He's like, just grow your show to where you're getting 50,000 downloads or whatever. And at the time I was like, 50,000 downloads. Like, I was getting like 300 downloads when I was first starting out. Brian Fullerton's nosy, and he's like, hey man, what's your numbers? What's your downloads? I'm all embarrassed because I've got like 300 or 400 downloads per episode. And I thought that was low.
Maybe I'll get there one day.
Well, I was so embarrassed to show Brian, and he's like really aggressive. Hey, what's your downloads, man? What's your downloads? All right, 342, 400. Well, anyway, I don't know why I was so obsessed with that number, but I was thinking 50,000 because Tim was basically saying, just grow something really big, and then you'll be able to get the attention of the bigger brands and get bigger brand deals. And so anyway, I kind of think there's some good advice to that. Like, if you really want to get the cream of the crop sponsors, and like, the Nikes, the Gatorades, they're not necessarily in my niche, so to speak, but if you want to get companies like that, then you need to really get big. And so my philosophy is I want to get in front of the A+ companies, right? So starting off, the best way to go, I think, is selling your own products. And I had a coach who he had nothing to do with the lawn care business. And in some ways that was good. In some ways it was bad. But I paid him a certain amount of money each week. And I'd drive over. He had a little office in his house. And I'd go in there, and his wife would bring me a coffee or a tea, and we'd have an hour coaching session. And actually is in person. And we would set 90-day goals. So he's like, all right, what's your goals for this 90 days? And they were very measurable. It's like, I'm going to make $35,000 of revenue, right? And that was actually one of my goals. One of my first times I just remembered that with him. I was like, okay, I want to make $35,000 the next 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, okay, well, how are we going to get there? It's like, okay, this much is going to be in lawn maintenance. This much is going to be in sod. This much is going to be in mulch. These are the quotes I have outstanding that I'm going to try to, we started reverse engineering a plan. And then each week we would set a goal. And then when I get there the next week, we'd go over, okay, well, how did you do with that? It was so helpful how this gentleman coached me. And I was able to talk through everything. And he was certified life coach and all this stuff. Well, anyway, when I started the podcast, I would start getting DMs like, hey, can you help me raise my prices? Or can you help me with marketing? Or can you help me with the legalities of the business and all this stuff? And so anyway, I started offering coaching sessions, and these things have really helped a lot of people. For I kind of took what I learned from my coach, and I'm in process. I'm going to try to get like accredited and be like a certified consultant, so to speak, because there's certain questions you can ask to really make the most of an hour session. But anyway, that's a product, or I guess that's a service, not a product, but products and services. I'm using them interchangeably. That's something that you can offer to your audience if you think you can help somebody. And when you're 10 years further along than the guy who's in his first year, I can help guys that are in year 0, 1, 2, or 3, or thinking about getting started. Now, if you're 15 years in the business and you're considering selling your business for $7 million or whatever, I'm going to say, hey, I'm not the. I actually put on my website, if your revenue is $250,000 or under, that's who I feel comfortable helping.
Yeah,
I'd love to help you. So anyway, that's a product or a service that you can instantly offer is coaching, and it's a way that I can connect with my audience and help people. And then this one happened organically. I preached on my podcast. This was way before COVID, and everyone else kind of got fearful about inflation and current events and all that. But if you actually go back in my archives and listen to me in 2018 and 19, I'm saying, hey, raise your prices every year, guys. Like, this is what the key companies in Atlanta do literally every single year. If they were charging $55 for a lawn maintenance the previous year, I guarantee it's going to be $57 or $58 this year. Just incrementally raise it. And I noticed that from the big boys in my neck of the woods. And then I started doing that on my own. And I had a little letter that I would email out. Actually, used to put it in their mailbox back when I started doing this. That's how long ago it was. Now you can email it. But anyway, I just threw that on my website. It's called the rate increase letter. I've changed the name. Dr. Frank told me the difference between a rate and a price. He's like, really, it's a price increase letter, Paul, not a rate increase. So I changed the name, the price increase letter. But I started selling that, my own product. It's excellent. I've had multiple professionals help me to craft every word is thoughtful of how you can most effectively communicate. So I start selling that. And then I got guys, I just talking to a guy out West, and he's like, dude, I had 100% of my customers accept my rate or my price increase. Thanks so much. I'm like, dude, that's, thousands of dollars that my product helped this guy earn this year. And so it's satisfying to me to help serve customers, whether it's a template that's going to help their business or it's a coaching call. Obviously my most popular products are my books. I wrote Cut That Grass, Make That Cash, which was my story of how I started in a 97 Honda Accord with my weed eater sticking out the window, the mower in the back, spilling gas all over the car, to end up, working for Atlanta Falcons coaches and players and things of that nature. I share my story in that book. I wrote Best Business Practices, which is about what I've learned, because as you do these podcasts, Jeremiah, and you interview Andy Mulder, Brian Fullerton, and Caleb Allman, and you sit there and listen, and you're like, oh man, like I'm learning as the host a lot. And so I wrote a book that could kind of like, for example, with Andy Mulder, I really value how he does dadder days, and he, is debt free. And so I just shared principles that I've noticed from guys who are way further along in business and life than me. That was a book I wrote. And then my kind of finality to the trilogy is 101 proven ways to increase efficiency and make more money in lawn care. A lot of folks were like, well, give us more tactics, give us more like bullet point what we should do. And so I wrote 101, just it's really cut and dry. And, that's a product I have out there. Mr. Producer worked with me on the project of proofreading and everything. And then he did the audio book. And so I've just found, to me, I can serve my customers best with just directly selling my own products to them. And then when opportunities arise, if Toro or Echo or Kohler Engines or Exmark or any of these companies that I've personally used their products, Jobber, there's probably like, I don't know the exact number, but there's a ton of brands in the industry. I was walking around at GIE the last 2 years, and I was like, man, I'd love to get sponsored by this company, and I'll go over there and I'll talk to them. Hey, I'm Paul James, the Green Street Podcast. No, nice to meet you. Exchange cards, and they just ghost me. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I've tried with so many of these companies, and they don't, know or whatever. But it's definitely, when you get rejected and denied, and it definitely hurts. Puts a little bit of a chip on my shoulder, but you know what? Hopefully in the future I'll get to work with
But it makes you want to go harder. I mean,
yeah, definitely. But it also, what I'm trying to emphasize is I'm not selling out. I literally could show you an email. I have 12. I was just looking yesterday. I have 12 sponsorship, like low hanging fruit things opportunities that I could take, a couple emails, a couple bank transactions, and you'd be hearing
from different
companies. Yeah. On my show. Today's show sponsored to you by, I was using HBO Max. I think that was really one of them. I get like weird things, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm always like, is this a good fit? Would I really tell Jeremiah, hey man, Jeremiah, I really think you should get HBO.
Mm-hmm.
It's really gonna, bless your life to watch nudity and fornication and violence and murder. No, I wouldn't do that. But what I say, I know you were just looking at that Skag 52 or whatever, but I'm not gonna get into Skag.
I saw your vote on my poll.
Okay, well let's not do that. If Skag wants to sponsor my show, I'd consider.
Skag's a good company.
I'm an Exmark guy. Okay.
Yeah.
And I've to be personally honest, I've never had Skag on my fleet, so I have used them. I'm trying to think. I think I was. Well, anyway, I'm not credible to say they're good.
Say anything about them. Yeah.
I like Exmark. I like Toro. I personally use Exmarks and Toros, and I would tell you personally, if you called me and there's a dealer nearby and you said, hey, what do you think of this Exmark 36 or Exmark 48? I would say, dude, solid mower.
Yeah.
And so with a sponsor, it has to be aligned. And it's the same with the affiliates. If a brand wants to give me an affiliate where they get you basically get a kickback. Like if you say, I don't have Ballard products. Okay. So I'm not a Ballard affiliate, but these guys that say, hey, go to Ballard and use promo code Brian or whoever, Brian's 10, right? Every time you guys do that, he gets a kickback from Ballard. So I don't have that yet or whatever, but I'm, I want to get more of those in the future. But again, I've built this thing so selectively and carefully of who I allow on the show, what companies I promote on the show. And I'm trying to set an example in the industry of excellence. Like if you look at my Instagram posts, I try to make them look really aesthetically pleasing. If you listen to my podcast, Mr. Producer, he obviously does the A to Z to make it professional audio. The quality of the content, I try to interview people who are further along in business than me. And if I do a solo show, I try to really prepare. Like, I know Caleb jokes about not having show notes and show prep, but I personally do prepare. I try to make it flow and sound natural, but if I'm going to do an episode, I put thought into it. I'm like, man, someone's listening. They just left their full-time job. They have a wife and kid or kids, and they're turning to listen to me, how they can really improve their business. I take it really serious. And so with serving customers in the financial part of the side, I'm trying to set an example in the industry of I want the Green Industry Podcast to be the kind of Rolls Royce. So like, man, what Paul's doing is the right way.
Yeah.
And all these other guys that are just, they don't know how to act. If someone says, we'll give you $2 if you, whatever. And it's just like I said, it spoils, just like a guy charging $20 for a cut, it spoils the thing. And so I think a lot of people are, they have a sour experience when they look at influencers because, Michael Jordan and Charles Barkley and Tiger Woods, love them or hate them, they were professionals, and they, if they wore a Nike shirt, or maybe Tiger Woods isn't the best example, but they kind of understood the reverence of, hey, we're going to work with this brand. I'm a brand. We're going to do it's going to be good. Right. And because anybody and everybody can become an influencer now, that professional touch is lost. And I'm trying to elevate the game. So
I'm glad you kind of wrapped it up, like ended the circle of life with that statement, because here's what I take away from the last 10 minutes of what you just talked about. There is the thing about it is creating your own products. You said you can become a business coach, or you can help people out if you're further along in business than other people are. That is all true, but you have to do it from the get-go, from the beginning. And this is what I've always said, and I always will say: you have to do it with the right intentions. You can't be going into it saying, "Oh, let's call me and talk to me for an hour, and I'll make $99, and then I'll give you." I mean, I'm just going to make the $99. You need to be saying, I want to personally help you. I want to help other people.
Yeah, I want to serve. You're serving a customer.
Exactly.
And you need to give them more than their $99.
I think that's why business, quote unquote, business coaches have gotten a bad rap. People are like, you don't need to be doing that, because I think there's so many out there that just want to take your money, and they're not going to give you any real value. They're not going to really help you, and that's why a lot of people say they're not worth it. They're like, I don't need a guru to tell me what to do when I already know what I can be doing. That's true to an extent, but in your case, like you're saying, you clearly outlined that you don't need to be talking to anybody over $250,000 in revenue, because that's not.
I have that on my website.
Yeah.
I personally don't feel comfortable. I mean, I know the stuff, but
you have not had any experience.
My wheelhouse, and I've personally had a coach before this was before I ever even had my podcast. This was way before I ever even had my podcast. And I benefited from a coach. And now this guy was certified. He went to certain levels of training to get the certifications as a professional consultant and things of that nature. And he did a really good job. He just wasn't willy-nilly, call me, and spontaneously talking. He had certain questions to draw out of me what I was really wrestling with. And then he had measurable action steps that the next week he would literally ask me, okay, did you send that quote to Susie like you said you were going to do? And then I had there was no gray. It was like, yes, I sent the quote, or, oh no, it's still sitting on my desk. I got, and so I want to get the certifications and training. My schedule's still kind of burdened at both ends. But if you're going to do anything, whether it's coaching, writing a book, sharing a product, bring your A game, make it an A+. And I'm always trying to tweak these things and make it better. But there's a right way to do coaching, and there's a wrong way to do it. There's a right way to have any product affiliate or sponsor, and there's a wrong way to do it. So
it's just like you're saying, the affiliates, the sponsors you bring on the show are ones that are going to help the other people out there listening to the show. It's not something that's just going to, you're not just making money off the sponsor to say their name. They can go to that sponsor, they can go to that website and actually benefit from their product.
Yeah, and there's been less than 10% that snuck in, and I snuffed them out once I realized that they're not aligned with. They'll talk a big game that they're aligned with my thing, but action. I'm about actions, and so my main sponsors. I'll just if you guys listen to my show, you hopefully know who they are. They're Gulf Coast Bookkeeping, Megan and Joey. The reason I was late to our meeting is because I was on a call with Megan and my CPA, and we're crunching numbers, right? And I watch on the Instagram reel. It's a write-off. That's a write-off. That's a write-off.
Yeah,
that's a write-off.
There.
That's a write-off. So we're like doing that for an hour and a half, and I was like, guys, I got to get going. I got a podcast to do. But I personally use them, and I've used them for years. That's been my personal bookkeeper. So when I say call Megan Coberly,
her
husband's Joey, it's because I know that they will take good care of you. If I say go get a Toro product, it's because I've used Toro products. I've been to their world headquarters twice. I've watched how they make them. They're a multiple billion-dollar company that's been around. They mow the grass at Augusta National Golf Club. Okay, the nicest golf course in the history of the world. So if I say use Toro, there's a reason. If I say use Xmark, if I say use Echo, in the Bible, it says a good name is to be more desired than, I think it says riches, and there's a list of things, but basically the most important thing in life in general, not just in business, is to have a good name.
Yeah.
And so as a influencer, you have to have a good name. And the moment you sacrifice a good name to get a quick buck from whoever will throw, a lot of companies would like to be in front of 109,000 people, especially if they're, if it makes sense for them.
Yeah.
And so what I'm saying is if other people were in my shoes, they would probably take a lot of these other sponsorships that I turned down.
But that's where you can lose your credibility very quickly.
Exactly. I'm playing the long game.
Yeah.
I want 3 years from now, if someone says Paul Jamison, and I hope in the community when my name's out there, people respect me.
Mm-hmm.
People respect the guest I bring on my show. People respect the integrity. There'll always be people that are jealous, that are envious, that, that's just who they are. And I just ignore them. I won't respond. The only response I get is I delete them and I block them. Delete, block, delete, block, delete, block.
Well, that goes hand in hand with what's on my board here right behind me. It says, you probably can't read it, it's blurry, but it says, most people dream of success while other people get up and actually make it happen. And that's the thing is you can dream. There's a lot of people, all the haters, they're dreaming of success, but you're actually out there making it happen. You're creating the products, you're putting the time in, you're serving the community by giving back to them, and you're making money along the way. That's the thing is people got to realize when you're out there listening and watching people on YouTube, you're like, man, Brian can review a mower and he can use a mower in his business for free and get paid to do it, thousands of dollars. He can, because he's giving back to the community. He's not just taking the money just to benefit himself. He's being profitable in his business ventures, and that's just the part of entrepreneurship that I love, is the fact that you can make money in whatever way, shape, or form you want to.
Right, and these companies, they have to get their product or service in front of an audience. So they're going to pay one way or the other. They may pay Instagram. Instagram may be their customer, and they'll pay to boost their post. They might pay Facebook to boost their post. And they do, because I see these companies' ads on my stuff all the time, right? They may pay, I don't work with Next Insurance, but they pop up on my thing every single day.
I actually just got a quote from them for something.
Okay.
They work with QuickBooks too.
So, for example,
yeah,
Next Insurance paid,
they're everywhere,
Instagram for that sponsored ad that keeps popping up when I'm going through my stories. They paid,
and Next Insurance paid Brad Bear with Cobber Creek Cuts.
Yeah, I don't think he charged him enough, because I don't think he realized that thing was going to be blasted all over.
That thing is everywhere.
But here's the thing. So they're boosting their posts. But companies like that, and if they want to call me, I'd talk to them,
Yeah.
But they've never reached out to me. But my point is they're trying to get in front of lawn care and landscape professionals. So I've worked my butt off to build a show with a quality reputation that has over 100,000 downloads a month. So I can present to a brand and say, hey, would you like to be in front of thousands and thousands of people that are interested in building a better lawn care business? And they can either pay me, or they can pay to get the organic reach. And they're honestly paying a lot to boost Instagram ads, Google ads, Facebook ads, or whatever. So these companies are paying somebody. And so with Brian Fullerton, you used him as an example. He has a YouTube channel with 140,000 subscribers. He's probably going to get 10,000 views on a video. Most people that watch Brian's Lawn Maintenance are into lawn maintenance. And so they find it profitable to pay Brian to put it in his thing. And they just reached 10,000 potential people.
Yeah.
And so I see so much potential for having an audience. And what I'm trying to emphasize to you today is most people are obsessed with building the audience. What they're not obsessed with is being a gatekeeper of integrity over their audience. And that's where I'm trying to change the game. I talk to Mr. Producer almost every day, and I was just talking to him yesterday. I was like, hey, what do you think about this brand? And I was asking him, because they're willing to throw a lot of money at me. I was like, what do you think? And he gave me his honest feedback, and I've been thinking through it. And so just being a gatekeeper, whether you have 500 followers or hundreds of thousands of followers, you got to realize these are human beings. And once you blow it, once they they lose their faith and trust in you, they're done.
Yeah.
And so you have to really be, if you're going to sell product, you need to serve your or service. You need to serve your customers well. If you are going to get an affiliate code and get kickback from a company, you got to believe in that company. If you are going to get a sponsor, you have to personally, be willing to tell your best friend, hey, go use this. And if there's some hesitancy there, then just don't take the deal.
I hear you. Man, that's some really good advice that I think a lot of people can take from this. There's a lot of people, like you said, anybody can be an influencer or a social media marketer or whatever you want to call it nowadays. If you can grow social media presence out there, there's I don't know, there's an endless room for availability to do it. I don't even know. I don't know how that came out, but there's an endless opportunity for you to go out there and create your own income through social media. And those three things are really big topics that I think a lot of people can learn from. If anyone out there listening is like, hey, I want to grow an Instagram, or hey, I want to do this, I want to do that, then go take that in the social media aspect and implement it in your business. Call Paul, get a coaching call with him. He can help you out there, all at thegreenindustrypodcast.com. But I do want to say one more final question before we wrap up here, man. I don't know if I've ever asked you this. You've been on the show a couple times, but I don't know if we were doing this when you were on previously. But what is your why for the podcast, for the social media company? What is your why behind all of it?
Yeah, well, I think it was more obedience to when the Lord gives me goes that far to give me a nudge to, if you build it, they will listen. And to have a vision like that, it was undeniable. I knew that this was kind of me courageously following God's leadership for my life. And so I guess the why was just being faithful to answer that call. And hopefully, at the airport, they got that thing it scans you put your hands up by your ears, and that thing, goes by and scans you. And as God scans my heart, and my motives and my intentions, and like his X-ray eyes, and his, he sees through everything. He knows exactly what your motivation is, exactly what your intention is, when he scans your soul. And so I think, when I started, I didn't have any influence. And as I've been entrusted with a little bit more influence, God's just disciplining me and cleaning me and purifying me, that, it's just about one person. It's about, serving them. It's about helping them. It's, just one person was listening to my podcast. Am I bringing enough information that's going to, help elevate their life and things of that nature? And so, I'm working through all of it, man. I right now, just to be transparent with you guys, I don't have Instagram on my phone. I deleted it. I deleted TikTok. I know I'm leaving a ton of money on the table, and I'm going to eventually re-download it because I have one sponsor. I have to make one post a month. So it's like, oh man, I gotta reload it, make the post or whatever. But I think it would surprise a lot of people. I don't try to do all the social media stuff and things of that nature. I try to love Jesus with, my whole heart. And I want to stand before him, and there's a broad path that goes to hell. And most people are on that path. There's a narrow path that's difficult. But it actually leads to eternal life. And so I think you got to just, to answer your question about your why, God gave me this platform, this opportunity. I'm trying to make the most of it. But at the same token, you can't, as a man, you can't scroll on TikTok and watch these girls shaking their butts.
Yeah.
You can't scroll even on Instagram. This is why I deleted Instagram. I'll scroll through sometimes, and I'm like, what in the world is this? Some girl
just
half
comes out
naked.
of nowhere. Yeah.
And it's like, you know what? The Lord convicted me because I was scrolling through, and I'm seeing these images. It's borderline pornography. And I said, God, I'm sorry. Like I thought my channel was lawnmowers and stuff. And I literally deleted Instagram, and I was like, I'm not going to throw away my destiny and God over TikTok or Instagram or,
well, that's the thing is there's TikTok, money, YouTube, Instagram, podcast. None of that's going to go with you when you die. That's the thing.
Right. And so if I'm getting deep on you here, I actually talked about Jay Jacobs. He was on the program. We talked about this stuff. it takes a lot of discipline when I do get on. And podcasting is easy. I just sit in my chair and I talk, and I publish that, and it's like there's no way to really get entangled in bad stuff with that. But with TikTok, and I've been on TikTok in months, and I have 58,000 followers. I remember a girl from Auburn. I know you like Auburn. I was on the airplane, and she was sitting next to me. She was an Auburn student, and I was checking my TikTok. This was a while ago, and she saw I was like a TikTok or whatever. She was, oh my gosh, she had like 400 followers and like 200 posts. She's, oh my gosh, can I follow you? Oh my god, like her self-worth was, I want to have a bunch of followers.
Yeah, and
I guess part of how God's been disciplining me is it's not about the followers. It's like, well, if I'm going to post a piece of content, is it going to serve somebody? Is it going to help their life, or is it just trying to scratch my ego? And if I am, and I haven't gotten to the place where I can have Instagram on my phone or TikTok for long periods of time, but can I get on there and actually post something and not let my eye gate that controls my soul see some girl half naked? Like, yeah. I just can't. Some of you guys that aren't trying to honor God, you might be like, what in the world? Like, I want to look at that stuff. Well, I want my heart to be clean and pure before God. And
you don't want to fill your brain with that.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't have a clear answer other than at the end of my life, when it's all said and done, and I believe all of us, we're going to stand before Hebrews 9:27 says it's appointed a man once to die, and after this, the judgment.
Yeah.
Y'all ain't going to be there on that day to be my cheerleaders. Hey, God, Paul Sunday service, man, you got to. Ain't none of that going to matter.
No.
That's that scanner at the airport. God's scanner is going to see my intentions, my thoughts, my words, all of that. And I'm going to have to give an account to him. And so I'm working through all that because I do want to use what's been given to me, what's been entrusted to me. I want to make the most of it, but it's not my idol or my, if 2 years from now, I'm not even in social media and I'm doing something else.
So be it. That's right. Follow the Lord's will.
Yeah. So it's kind of one day at a time, and I just try to make the most of it. So
that's awesome, man. Well, we're already sitting here at almost an hour on the dot. Where can we find you on social media and all your products if we want to?
greenindustrypodcast.com. That's where you can get the new book, 101 Proven Ways to Increase Efficiency, Make More Money in Lawn Care. You can also listen to it on Audible, and Mr. Producer narrated it. And if you guys want to do a coaching call or look at any of the other templates that I have to help your business, all of that's available at greenindustrypodcast.com. And then you can listen to the Green Industry Podcast. It's on Spotify, Apple
all major
Podcasts,
platforms.
Yeah, it's the Green Industry Podcast. So
awesome, man. Well, Paul, thank you so much for your time. Thank you, everyone out there who's listened and tuned into today's show. If you're still listening, a special thank you for making it all the way through the whole hour show here. This has been a really good one. A lot of good nuggets of truth and stuff that will benefit you in your life and in your business here in the future. So thanks again for listening. Thanks for the show sponsors for helping us and keeping us going here. And we can't wait to catch up with y'all here on the next episode.
Thanks for tuning in to the Growing Green Landscapes Podcast. We know you have many other podcast options to choose from, and don't take it for granted that you chose to spend some time with us today. You can connect with Jeremiah Jennings at Growing Green Landscapes on Instagram or use the link in the show description. Don't forget to smash the follow button on the podcast and leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. We hope you crush it in your business and hope to catch you on our next episode.